In this end of the era that the rise of Skywalker brought us, we have set out to review the entire Star Wars film path. In 2018, another of the spin-offs that presented the origin of one of the most beloved characters in the series, Han Solo, with the performances of Alden Ehrenreich as Han, Emilia Clarke in the role of Kira, and Donald Glover as the young Lando Calrissian, Solo. A Star Wars story was present. Through it we learned how he met Chewbacca and how he obtained the Millennium Falcon in a story totally remote from the Skywalkers. There are many curiosities about the film, and that is why here we leave this first part with everything you need to know about Han Solo's solo tape. The connection between Solo and Indiana Jones goes beyond Harrison Ford, since Lawrence Kasdan was the one who wrote the first film of the adventurer and, at the same time, in collaboration with his son John, co-wrote the tape that shows the origin of Han Solo. Long before Jonathan Kasdan was involved in the film, his father Lawrence considered Han and Kira's childhood in the style of Charles Dickens' novels. In many of Ron Howard's films, director of Solo, he includes his brother Clint, and this production is no exception. He plays Rala Killy, who faces L3. Lady Proxima had an army of worms, whose name, White Worms, is a tribute to Bram Stoker's novel entitled The Lair of the White Worm, 1911. At first the White Worms were not worms, but albino aliens, vampires well dressed that would remind us of David Bowie in The Hunger, 1983. This was modified when Christopher Miller and Phil Lord got involved. Source: Lucasfilm Limited. 6. The entire Lady Proxima design is something that was modified and evolved throughout the production. The only aspect they respected from the start, according to Kasdan, was the fact that it is sensitive to light. Much of the idea of showing what happens in the White Worm's den has to do with Han telling Leia the story of how he and Kira escaped. Moreover, this was what gave Leia the idea of using a true thermal detonator at Jabba Palace in episode VI. The chase aboard the speeder was not in the plans. It was Christopher Miller and Phil Lord who included it. It was necessary to be able to see Han's ability behind the wheel. The scene in which Han removes an eel from his pants is a reference to the character that River Phoenix played in I Love You to Death, 1990, a film directed by Kasdan. In addition, double tribute, since he was the first actor to make a young version of another of Ford's iconic characters by being the young Indy in Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, 1989. Source: Lucasfilm Limited. 10. Moloch, that male Brindalid, who points to Han in The Lair of the White Worms, was baptized as well as a nod to the poem Howl by Allen Ginsberg. One of the major conflicts between the scriptwriters was how to develop Han's admission to the Imperial Academy. While it was crucial to see him train as a pilot, at the same time he did not allow the film to flow. The war sequence, in which Han and Beckett meet in Mimban, had not been mentioned in the films, but in the first novel in the series entitled Splinter of the Mind's Eye, written by Alan Dean Foster and published in 1978, which centers 2 years after episode Roman 4. Tag and Blink, two well-known characters from the expanded universe and the comics, would make their debut in this movie. It even filmed much of its history, but it was finally cut from the final version. The decision of the elimination was of the director Ron Howard, since he considered that these actors were too charismatic and would take all the attention. Moreover, that deleted sequence, in addition to containing Tag and Blink, had the cameos of several members of the production, such as Lynn Dillion and David Crossman, VFX producer and supervisor Rob Bredo, and Cheryl Howard. The production wanted Mimban to remind us of Paths of Glory, 1957, by Kubrick. The idea was that Han Solo was in a war environment that is hellish. Initially in the Beckett crew there was another member, Corso, but they decided to remove it because it was confusing to introduce that character, who was going to die soon. For Kasdan, one of the best scenes in the movie is when Han is in the mud pit and meets Chewie. Moreover, he said that this was an idea thought by M.